What's the one thing I would go back and tell my younger self if I had a chance? I'll tell you in a minute. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Erkka Suvando. Some of you call me EJ. I'm still the guy on social media to build a legacy for his kids and pass on all the life and business lessons to each and every one of you. To my first question or statement about what is the most important thing that I have learned over the years that I would now go back and tell my younger self if I had a chance. It would be time management and focus. How to get the most out of those hours during a day that I have. Let's say it's 8 or 10, whatever we work. This has been a huge thing for me that I have realized over the last couple of years and has made it possible for me now to pivot and start doing something else, because now I understand that there are different roles in organizations and companies, and sometimes as a business owner I need to be able to wear multiple hats. Let's go deeper. What I call a manager and maker dilemma. Manager and maker. If we think about it, if we go back a little bit, basically our most valuable resource is time. And the person who can best invest his or her time obviously gets the most out of his or her time, and ultimately, if we are business owners, makes the most money, or whatever the end goal is. It could be more free time or just more opportunities or whatever. But the point is that we are all time investors. Before we have money, we only have time. And time is our most valuable resource. So if we then think about a typical organization and an entrepreneurial career, if you will. So if it basically starts like this. So we are self-employed in the first box. Then we turn ourselves into CEO owner. We potentially have a couple of employees, right? And then the next step is that we become a true business owner. A true business owner is somebody who has employees. There's already an outside CEO in place, and we don't need to allocate all of those 80 hours a week anymore into that business, so we get to do something else, if that's our ultimate goal. So we might be the chairman of the board. And then maybe the last final step would be a so-called investor, when you have sold a maturity stake of your company and you stay on board as a minority owner, plus you potentially have a board seat in that particular company. So that's roughly the path or the roadmap from being self-employed to ultimately becoming an investor, a business owner that potentially sells his or her stake in the company, if that's the given path or the chosen path. But within this path, obviously in the beginning, if we think about it, if this illustrates all the roles and responsibilities in any organization, so somebody who's self-employed needs to be able to wear all these hats. Sometimes it's all about running the day-to-day. And sometimes we need to put that maker hat on and start doing something creative. It could be a new billing system for our customers so that we can monetize the products and services. It could be a new ad campaign, or it could be something else that requires quiet time. This is the key. So coming back to the initial manager versus maker role, maker could also be called a creator, but I just use these terminologies now. So somebody who's a manager 80% of the time knows that a manager measures and tracks his or her productivity based on time slots on the calendar. So the objective of the manager is to fill up those time slots, also known as work units, right? So empty space on the calendar, let's say these are half an hour time slots. So an empty space on a manager's calendar means lost opportunity. Okay? So the manager wants to avoid lost opportunities, lost time slots, open time slots at any cost. Whereas then the maker, if this was the manager on this side. So on the other side we have the maker. Now we have the headline at the bottom, doesn't matter. So what about the maker? What's typical for the maker is that if a manager has on any given day, let's say, depending on how you measure it, whether you have 15-minute time slots or 1 hour time slots, let's say you have anywhere between 10 to 20 work units on that day. What about a maker who intentionally leaves his or her calendar empty for thinking, for creative work? This is the person who needs to edit the videos. This is the person who needs to code something, create, copywriting, ad creation, billing system, new marketing campaign, ad campaign, because there's only a certain period of time that the old campaign can bring money in. At some point we run out of juice there, so we need to create something new. Who does that work? If all of our time is allocated to day-to-day tasks that the manager typically handles, then there's nobody left. And this is, by the way, the number one reason why companies don't grow. Because they don't know, coming back to the initial point, we are all investors of time. The companies who stay small, they don't understand that they need to allocate time towards creative work as well. Because oftentimes, this day-to-day, being the manager, having those 15-minute meetings or talking to customers on the phone or putting out fires on a daily basis takes up all that time on our calendar. So therefore, we don't have that dedicated time slot, let's say for 4 hours, to put together that marketing campaign, write a book, record a podcast, or whatever it takes to grow the company. In my previous videos, I have talked about how every single business owner should market and promote his or her company for 4 hours every day. Otherwise, we always stay small. It's the same thing. That 4 hours is that creative work. Coming back to Maker, what's typical? Maker typically has a couple of time slots, 3 to 4 hour time slots. One in the morning, one in the afternoon. Maybe somebody works post-dinner as well, but that's out of scope of this video. So what happens when a manager here on this side decides to book a meeting? That's the thing that the maker hates the most. And this guy here, if they don't talk to each other, if they don't understand that there are different objectives, this person wants to leave the calendar empty. So objective, create time, open slots. So now let's say this guy wants to sit down. It's a manager, team member type of a relationship. Let's have a performance review. Yeah, I can see based on our Outlook or whatever company-wide calendar we are using that you have this whole morning free. Well, what's the problem? Why can't we sit down for 15 minutes? This person wants to have a flow. That's the objective. So I want to get into that flow state where I can create. If now there's a meeting all of a sudden here in the middle, it messes up the whole morning. And that 3 to 4 hours is basically gone. It's hard to concentrate. We all know how hard it is to concentrate sometimes. Some of us, like me, more than others. But anyhow, that's the dilemma we're dealing with here. So very different objectives. And what's also typical about the maker's task is that these are oftentimes the tasks are less urgent, at least they feel, but they are very important. And these are the work blocks or chunks of work that move the company forward big time. Point of the video is not to categorize or say that this is more important than that or the other way around. That's not the point. Obviously, the company can't run without the day-to-day management either. Somebody needs to talk to the customer, do the transactions. But without this, without the maker work, having these blocks, these chunks of time that are geared towards, tailor-made towards something creative that moves the company forward, takes the big gigantic leaps, we wouldn't be growing. And that's one of the reasons, probably the biggest reason, why companies stay small, because they don't understand how to allocate that time. And again, going back to the very beginning of the video, we are all investors of time. And those people who get the most out of their time invested make the most money, make their company very successful in the end. That's obviously our goal if we are entrepreneurs. So that's the dilemma. So what do we do then? How can we solve the problem? What solutions do we have? Well, first of all, I would say that rule number one, leave a meeting if you're not needed or if you feel that this is waste of time. Giving back to the company, there's no better way than giving your time back. Time, again, being the most valuable resource we all have. If you sit in a meeting, a 2-hour meeting, that after half an hour you feel that this is not going to be very useful, this is not fruitful, then leave the meeting and tell the people that, look, I have better things to do and I'm going to go and do that stuff. I might be a maker, my work might be of the creative kind, and that might be that huge leap that the company needs when I put in the hours and the reps. So solutions, leave a meeting. Obviously, that's a little provocative. But the point would be that, first of all, communications. So people would need to understand that there are different types of personalities, different types of roles. Obviously, we are using very rough categorization now here. There are all kinds of roles in the company, but roughly they fall under 2 categories, a maker or a manager. And I sucked at this. I honestly sucked at this when I had my corporate job. I just couldn't understand why the creative people couldn't attend the meetings, or why they didn't pick up their phones, or why didn't they return to my texts or whatever. And it took me years to understand that there was a reason for that. These people were avoiding invitations, phone calls, and texts so that they could concentrate. And I feel bad about it. Now that I have to do it myself as a business owner, an owner of my own company, where I sometimes need to wear multiple hats. And this is where it gets tricky. Like here in the beginning, we talked about how self-employed people, when you have a 1 or 2 person company, you need to be able to wear multiple hats. Sometimes you are the manager who handles the day-to-day. And then the next day or after lunch, you have to be the one who puts the creative hat on, be the creator or the maker. And that is super hard. So coming back to solutions, I'll tackle that too. So communications, and the bigger companies understand what moves people, what kind of work schedule is ideal for them. What is that they need to put together? What's the expected outcome, their deliverables? And then understanding how do they prefer their day to be structured. So communications, understanding different roles. And then a couple of tactical ones. So if you're like me, you have to do multiple roles. What I have started doing is that I reserve blocks of time. So whether it's AM, PM type thing. So AM versus PM, maybe AM operator or manager, PM maker, or days. Ratio could be 1:4, 4:1. So 1 day dedicated to meetings only if you are a maker, and the other way around. If you're mostly a manager, then doing it the other way around. So that was what I wanted to cover. This is very, very important. And one of the biggest lost opportunities for most entrepreneurs, including me in the beginning. And this, like I said in the beginning, no BS. This is probably the most important thing that I had to personally learn, and the thing I would tell my younger self if I had a chance now, to understand these different roles and make space for yourself to put that maker hat on. Sometimes the hardest part is this. Sometimes you have to do it very early in the morning or late at night because there's no other way, because 8 hours already goes into the manager tasks. Thank you for watching. Hope this was clear. A lot of messy notes on the whiteboard. If you liked the video, please subscribe to my channel and hit the like button. We'll talk again soon. Until next time, thank you.